Hey everyone, it's Gus from Pi My Life Up, and today I will be going through all the steps to setting up a Raspberry Pi VNC server. Doing this will allow you to be able to connect to your Pi so you're able to control it via the GUI rather than the command line. The process of setting all this up is actually pretty easy, and at the end of it you'll be able to remotely control the desktop of your Pi. This is incredibly handy if you don't have a screen or access to the Pi itself. If you just want a bare bones command line approach, then be sure to check out my tutorial on how to SSH into your Raspberry Pi. SSH is how I control my Pi all the time, but it all comes down to preference. Like all of my tutorials, you will need to have Raspbian pre-installed onto your Raspberry Pi. If you haven't already done this, then you can find out how to do it in my guide on installing Raspbian. Keep in mind you can install this onto other Linux distributions, but the process might not be the same. Now, installing the VNC Server software package onto your Raspberry Pi is actually incredibly easy and only requires entering a couple of commands. Before we get started, first make sure your Pi is up to date by running the following commands: sudo apt-get update, sudo apt-get upgrade. Once those two have finished up, run the following to install the tight VNC Server package: sudo apt-get install tight VNC Server. Once it has downloaded and installed, now you can set up and run the server. This is pretty easy to do. Simply run the following command: VNC Server /:1. You will need to set up a password for when you go to connect to the Pi remotely. It is important to remember the password will be truncated to 8 characters, so try and choose a password that works best for you and is no longer than 8 characters long. It will now ask you to verify the password. Just enter it again. Next, it will ask you if you want a separate view-only password. Enter N for this. Once that is all done, the server will be up and running. The following command will need to be run every time you need to have the server up and running. It should run until you either kill the process or you reboot the Pi. VNC Server /:1. If you want to have the software start automatically, then I'll go through a couple of steps next. After that, I'll go through setting up the client. Having to run the command mentioned earlier is not ideal, so you might want to have it start automatically. The following steps are pretty straightforward and should have your server starting up automatically whenever you restart the Pi. First, open up the rc.local file by entering the following command: sudo nano /etc/rc.local. Now, before the exit 0 line, enter su space dash space pi space dash c space single quotation mark /usr /bin /vnc server /:1 single quotation mark. Once you are done, simply save and exit by pressing Ctrl X then Y. Now restart the Pi by running the following command: sudo reboot. Once the Pi has loaded back up, you can confirm that it is running by running the following command: VNC Server /:1. It should say a VNC server is already running at :1. If you need to kill the server, simply enter VNC Server /kill :1. and that will kill the server. Once you're done, you can proceed to setting up the client on your other computer, tablet, or whatever device you plan on using. Installing and setting up a VNC client is incredibly easy. There are quite a few different VNC software packages out there, but I'm going to be using RealVNC. So firstly, head over to realvnc.com in your browser. If you're on PiMyLifeUp.com, in the tutorial you can find a link directly to the download page. Go to the download tab, choose VNC Viewer, unless you want to run a server on your client computer as well. Download the version relevant to your operating system. In my case it is Windows 64-bit. Enter your details and then it will ask you to accept an agreement, and then you can finally download the program. Once downloaded, simply open it up. Enter your IP address and port in the field that says VNC Server, for example 192.168.1.108:1. Now simply press connect. It should give you a warning message. Simply press continue on this. Then it will ask you for a password. This is the password we set earlier. Simply enter the password you set. The VNC window should now load up and you will now have access to your Raspberry Pi remotely. I hope you have been able to set up your Raspberry Pi VNC server correctly and that you're able to remote desktop to your Pi easily. If you're still having trouble or have missed something, then feel free to drop a comment below or over at PiMyLifeUp.com. Until next time, have a good one. Looking for more Pi projects to do? Check out these 21 awesome Pi projects that anyone can do. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date with the latest and greatest projects, guides and much more.